Okay, I think it's live. Let me make sure it's clear as can be. Let's see, settings. Gotta love how always have stuff put together correctly the first time, right? Let's see. Take. Doesn't look like it's blurry, but I don't know why it looks like it's blurry there. Yeah. Video. Okay. I think that should do. Alright. So, last we got the background done. And this part will either be really quick or take a very long time. So let me get the reference up again. Let's see. Where is it? Wish I had gotten that prepared, but I'm not so smart, am I? Let's see. Okay, cool. Alright. So, it looks like the version I did wasn't exactly perfect, but that's okay. Let's get started by getting to the color we want. Let's see. Minimize that. Get this a bit smaller because I don't need it so big. Make it a bit smaller. Cool. Now, I swear it looked brighter last time I saw it, but that's okay. Alright. I thought it'd be funny to kind of leave it empty, but no. No, I'm not going to be lazy that way. Let's see. Since it's stone, it's very gray. It's going to have some highlights on it of orange. Let's see. I think this thing's almost entirely mostly blue, which is kind of wild, but let's see. I'll gray out some blue. A little bit of blue. It's actually going to be darker than I thought it would be. That's okay. Start by making violet. If you don't mix it like perfectly, it doesn't have to be mixed perfectly smooth with no streaks, but it helps because then you don't end up getting weird streaks of color in it. But it is what it is. Okay, that's more like a reddish violet, so get some more blue. And that should be close to the color we're looking for. Yep, and then add a little bit of yellow to gray it out. It's kind of like with regular light, visible light. You can mix colors and turn it to white. We're going to be doing the same, but with gray. Graying this out as much as possible. It's gonna be hard to do because I think I made my palette a bit bumpy from all the paint from last time. But that's okay. It's more yellow to grade out a bit more. Be surprised how much yellow is in everything. There's always a little bit of yellow in something. Okay. See, now that's turning kind of like a... This is getting grayed out, definitely. But not as much as I want it to be. It's more of a brown now. So let's add some more blue. Now it's becoming a mush. That's the first step to get into a gray. You want it to be kind of hard to tell what color it is the goal. You want to make it hard to see which one's the primary color in there. And just for gits and jiggles, I'm gonna see what color that actually is gonna end up by testing it on the side of the canvas. I think it's more red than it should be. Yeah, it's more red than it should be. That's okay. I will rinse that off later. Where did I put? There it is. There's my towels. It's always the prep phase that takes way too long. So that got too red. So we're adding a bit more blue. A little bit more yellow. I'm having an excess of paint for this guy. I should have been a little bit more cautious with it. Because if you saw the last one, not a lot of paint actually got used for these. And there's even less space here. But, you know, it'll work out. Yeah, there's too much red in here. Let's add some yellow and some blue again. All colors lead to brown. Let's get some more yellow and blue. That's getting pretty close to brown, I would say. I mean, gray, rather. I added a smidge too much yellow. But you know what? I think I'm about at a stopping point. I think it's safe to add some more blue. But instead of doing completely fresh amount, I'm going to pull some away and set it aside. So now I got 2 stacks. And this one I'm going to use. Grab some more blue. There you go. A little bit more blue, and that should be the shade I'm looking for. I might use that brown to touch up some other spots. I'll see where there's some brown in there and add it in there. Maybe I'll highlight those rocks a little bit. Oh yeah, that's about what I'm looking for, I think. Let me test it on the side of the canvas. Because once you get to the more detailed parts of it, it's really hard to tell the right color, and you don't want to go over too much. So, for now, I'm going to be a lot more cautious. This one's probably going to take about the same amount of time as the background did. Probably. Let's see what the color on the side looks like. That looks like what I want, I think. Yeah. So, let's get the basic outline over here. It's a lot more brown than I thought it would be, but that's okay. We'll do multiple layers. It'll start to look more like it's supposed to as we go. Over here, there's going to be some depth in there. Should be fairly clear what he's supposed to be based on the cell shading I'm doing right now. My initial sketch wasn't that accurate, it would seem. That's okay. Accuracy is not paramount. What matters is when you're satisfied with the final product. Let's see. Some lines. Now, it may seem like I'm doing the wrong thing by adding the shadows before the highlights, but when you add an initial coat for the highlights, actually makes it far easier to tell what you're supposed to make. You know, because then it sort of bleeds through the other coat of paint, but it's okay. That's where his knuckles are, but kind of. He's got some shadows on his gauntlet. Okay, now I'm gonna start going crazy, adding some white. And rather than mixing into the white, pull some white away and use it. Is that the shade I want on this side? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So now, it's going to be doing little cell shades at a time. More detail will be added later. Looks like I need to bring back some of the other one. I have an overabundance of paint now, which, it is what it is. Grab some of, wipe this off actually. So I'm going to be using some of the original dark ones. I don't need any of the white for this part. Now it's starting to come together a bit. That's where the layering comes in. Originally, it wasn't very visible, but now it is. Now we're doing a slightly lighter shade, so we're taking some of the white and adding it in here. Some more white than that. Then use it here. Now I'll grab some of the original. Got a little bit of excess on there. When you got excess, just wipe it off, because you want to keep it from going on the metal. Let's see, one over here. It's slowly starting to get to the point it's supposed to be. So now you're starting to add some highlights here and there. Get some more breath in it. I think I kind of screwed that part up, but that's okay. I can come back to it. Some more. At this point, you kind of just get a little bit creative with it, and because if you start layering it like what I'm doing, you'll have different stacks of color, and you kind of get a feel for, once you get down to a certain point, kind of like working through a pencil. When you get down to a certain point, at what point you'll be back to an older color, and then you're like, I could use it here, and then you just carry it over. Get a lot more white for this part. So now we're going deeper into the highlights. Alright, get some of this. While you might get tempted to use more of the empty space, you really shouldn't, much as you're tempted. And see, like, using the negative space from what the paint hasn't gone on is very tempting to use. But ultimately it does make the painting look worse. It makes it look like it was an accident, not intentional. And one of the things that people notice really quick is accidents. Or just mistakes. So you just want to make it not look so accidental. Even though it probably wasn't. But you know, it is what it is. See, that already looks fairly close to what Hava looks like. It's just little bits are missing. Little bits of detail. I thought it was going to take longer than it is. But you know what? I will not shoot down an opportunity. So this is not quite a highlight. It's going to be a slightly deeper color. So I'm going to be deepening it up a little bit. And then coming back to here. Because on the actual piece, the armor plates, where the edge is, how can I make it? Actually, that's better. So it's going to be the opposite side because the light's coming from behind and peeking through here. But obviously my arm is the opposite. The lights will be coming down. So you want to have a gradient going that way, starting from here at a sharper line. So the same for the opposite. So I'm going to have a sharper line from here, and it's going to be a gradient in, but because the subject is smaller, it's going to have to be a little bit more subtle. Let's see, armor plates over here. Slight mistake, but it's fine. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this off, and we're going to go back to a deeper color, because there's spots that I missed over there that I didn't notice. But you can always come back to spots. So right about here. Try not to get your finger on the paint like I just did. And in fact, I'm going to start using some black. But don't go too crazy with it. It's very easy to go too far. Just pull some black away. And then, because his fingers, his hand's a little bit more pronounced. Then there's a spot in here that's a lot deeper of a color. And a spot down here that's a lot deeper of a color. And then, I think that'll do. Yeah, I think that's good. Now, just to do some highlights on the rock. Don't want to make them pop out too much, so we're not going to go too crazy on that. But we can do a little highlight here and there. It's going to be extremely subtle, but that's kind of how you want it. You want to get the general shape out. Well, I'm not going too crazy. And I think it's just about done. Just filling in the empty spaces. That's not so bad. Mute it out a little bit more. Little bits, not going too crazy. Ooh, just messed up. It's okay. You can paint over spots you mess up. Let's get that back over here. There we go. Fixed. Because there's some spots I missed earlier, but I'm fixing them now. And it actually works out that we're using a little bit of brown because there's some ember in there. Let's see. Uh-oh. I completely ignored his feet. Uh-oh. Completely forgot those were there. Let's go fix that. Okay. Then okay. Now, hard part, some spots I missed were in the background. Because I was being a bit of a coward, I just didn't go for it at all. But now as good a time as any to fix it. But you know, let's nah, that was a mistake. Alright. So I'd say that's solid for now. And rest of it's gonna be perfecting some spots. I didn't see that. I'm actually about to demonstrate something. Now that I think of it, this is a good time to do this. So you see the spot down here? It actually looks a little bit like the spots up there. And I didn't perfect that shadow down there, so it almost looks like it's an empty space. Well, that's because it is. I didn't add any paint there at all. So we're going to reuse some of this deeper shade. And then take some black. Because it was there. Might as well use it. And then place it right back in there. Boom. Now, empty space there. Let's get that empty space in. Alright. Now all that's missing is the embers on them, but I'll wait for it to dry before I start adding it. I'll have some detail to add on the fingers later. So for now, we're just going to handle the background and actually add that finishing touch there. Alright. The rest of it will be just fill in that empty space there too. No, that's actually going to be a later color. So, I didn't do it last time, but rather than throwing away all the excess paint, because that would just be a waste. Actually, let me clean off my brush before I start doing anything. So it was me that did that. Alright. Clean off the brush and the paint knife. Okay, paint knife is clean. Now, I'll show. Actually, I shouldn't have cleaned it off because I'm going to use it again anyway. Alright, so. I'm going to throw all the extras in here. This paint is used and it's bad, but eh. It's gotten way too dried out to use anymore. But we're just gonna scoop and place it into the cup. That way it's one less thing for me to have to clean up. And if I feel like using those colors later, I have those colors. And then wipe off the palette and start anew. Here's me being wasteful. I shouldn't have grabbed a new one. I should just use the old one. That is what it is. I'm already doing it. Alright. That's wiped off enough. No residues actually going to significantly affect the color. Okay, let's make violet again. And deepen the color around here. Fill in the empty space. Let's actually use the brush for that, rather than doing it the way I have been doing. Using the knife, because I'm going to be using less paint. I don't have to worry so much. This is the hard part with paint, is how often you need to clean. But, you know, it is what it is. It's way more red than I need. That's okay. Let's add some black. We want it to be a very deep color. I used a little bit too much red. That's okay. Pull some black. Not a ton. Just a smackle. And put that in the black. Then we can start filling in the background over here. A little bit here and there. Just filling in the empty spaces. And then some back here, because he is a bit too in there. I kind of made him a smidge too fat, but you know, his armor's heavy, so I guess it wasn't so big of a deal that I made him a bit too fat. Alright, now just for the embers, and then I think it's done. This is probably the quickest one I've done. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. Let's get some red and some yellow, but no blue, because I already have enough. That's probably a bit too much yellow, but yeah. some more yellow. Yeah, it should be fine. It's gonna get a little bit in. Oh, let's try not to get so many splotches in there. There we go. A little bit, not a ton, because the original one didn't have that much either. Probably used a little bit too much yellow, but that's okay. Let's get some more red in there. That's better. Some down here. Right about here. Cause your boy's embered up. Sorry, that was weird. Shouldn't have said it that way. A little bit around this color that's barely there. There we go. Maybe I didn't need to add the ember, but it's already there. Might as well run with it. And then, is that dry yet? I think that's actually dry enough to add a little bit more detail to his hand. So let's do that now. Just gonna use a little bit of color. Some, no violet, no. So add some of this. Be very sparing with any color you add. Wipe this off a smidge. Okay. Let's add a smidge to his fingers. Oh, that's the perfect color, actually. Add a smidge to his fingers. Don't go too crazy with it. And then, yeah, scripts. Do a little bit of definition there. A little bit more definition there. And I think that'll do. I didn't think I'd finish this guy up so quick. I thought it would take longer. But, you know, let's use some of the extra. That was a mistake. Yeah. I think I'm satisfied. Yeah. I think that's good. I'm gonna call that done. I'm surprised at how quickly that got done. But let's wipe the paint off my hands. Yeah. That looks pretty damn close to what it's supposed to. I think that's as good as it's gonna get. Yeah. I'd say that's just done. I like how, was it trying to adjust and catch the color? Yeah, alright. So that's good. That was way quicker than I thought it would be. Only 40 minutes, if even. Well, first painting stream. I'll edit it and make it into a full video. Alright.